We're going to get rolling here. We've got a small attendance today. Hopefully that means that everyone's finally getting busy with spring buying season, getting in gear. I know we're seeing it tick up, but we're going to record this so that we can send it out to everyone that registered. We had about 80 registrants. So we'll get this emailed out to everyone. But thank you for those that joined. Just a little bit of housekeeping here. If you have any questions, utilize the Q&A section on your Zoom toolbar. It gives you an option to ask the question anonymously if that's what you wish to do. I will be monitoring today and I will make sure that those questions get answered for you. Today we have Linda Deering, one of our top producing branch managers in the nation for Geneva Financial. She has managed to not only outproduce during a market downturn, but correct me if I'm wrong, Linda, but 2023 was one of your best years.
It was our best year. Yes.
What, 200 units, almost 200 units yourself?
I think that's pretty close. Yes.
Yeah. So pretty incredible, considering everything that the industry has gone through in the last couple of years. And interviewing her today is our absolutely amazing Chief Sales and Revenue Officer, Rachel Capel. So I'm excited to listen in on this session. And again, feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A and we'll get going. Ladies, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And thanks for taking the time, Linda. We appreciate it. Love to get everyone's perspective. And you and we chat quite a bit about things going on. And so I'm pretty familiar with your business model, but I'm excited for you to share some things. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So talk to us about your journey into and through the mortgage industry and what led you to Geneva Financial.
All the greatest things happen by accident. I started in the real estate industry, so I needed to make enough money to send my kids to a private school, wanted to do 2 transactions a year and be done. And pretty soon I became full-time in real estate, started a real estate company. Our realtors were having trouble getting their transactions to close on time, and we figured it would be easier to start a mortgage branch than to fix the problems that we were seeing with, outside lenders. And so I got into the mortgage industry from 2003 to 2011. And then I saw a post on LinkedIn from Aaron Van Trojan, the owner of Geneva Financial. I didn't know who he was at the time, but that post hit me. And I replied back to him and said, hey, fantastic post. And he said, why don't you come in here and talk to me? And wasn't looking in the industry, wasn't really my goal. Went in and talked to him and he's like, how would you like to join our company? And we talked about it for a little bit and I was interested. And that was in June of 2018, I believe. And I walked in, having been out of the industry for 7 years, walked in with no built-in business, nothing in mind. And the support at Geneva Financial has allowed me to get back into this industry from absolutely nowhere and nothing and scale my business up. I have, I think, doubled my business year over year, regardless of market. And that's 100% due to the support at Geneva. So every time I've needed something in order to make that happen, Geneva stepped up and they've been there and allowed me to do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the post was? I'm curious now.
You know what? I was thinking about that when I was saying it as well, and I'm unsure. I don't know, but I can tell you this. I can't count on one hand the times I've replied to a post on LinkedIn. So, I mean, I'm really pretty disengaged, but for some reason, whatever he said, it hit me. And I want to go back and I'll find that out because I'm interested too.
Yeah, I'm curious. Awesome. Well, what would you say the biggest difference between companies you've originated for before and Geneva are?
I'm coming from a fortunate position because I was with my first company for 6 years. And, I didn't think I'd ever find somewhere that I liked as much. And I went to a second company from 2009 to 2011. And I've been at Geneva now for going on, 6 years. And there's absolutely no comparison between my experience at Geneva and even the experience that I received other places that I actually thought was really very good. The culture at Geneva is interesting because it's better than I could have imagined. And I'm operational, you know, that I've worked as, you know, COO for certain companies and I've built cultures. This is the only place that I've ever been where I haven't had a need to go in and fix anything. And the culture from the people down, I can email the owners of this company. I can email you anytime. I can call any one of you and I can get an immediate and instant response. And that's not indicative of anywhere else. In addition to that, I really do feel like as an employee and as a participant in this company, I am given the benefit of a doubt, even when I have yet to prove myself in a certain area. And I don't know that that's indicative of what you would receive everywhere else. Sometimes in other companies, you can prove yourself over and over and over again, and you're still looked at as a normal LO that really might not know what they're doing, you know? And I don't mean even from a knowledge standpoint, but just from a standpoint of, you know, can I get from A to Z in my business goals or at any level? The people are extremely nice, extremely supportive. There's a significant abundance mindset. And the culture is built to support and grow. I can go back to you and tell you, and this might be an answer for another question, I'm not sure, but I can go back and say everywhere that I am right now and everything that's contributed to my business started out with a phone call from James where he referred me somebody that he had recruited. And, you know, that support is there in this company from support to getting our loans done, support from growing our branch, support to our own business model, whatever it is. And I can give you that story. I mean, he referred me a loan officer. That loan officer had a little team that they worked with. That team that they worked with got familiar with our branch. And they also worked out with close to a builder that they did several deals a year with, and come to find out we get a call from that builder and we're getting some of their transactions now. So it's just like one thing grows on another, but the only way that that can grow and scale, the only way that our business can scale year over year is that we never don't have the support we need in every single transaction to succeed. We're not having to earn back relationships that we've burnt because we couldn't perform. Every relationship that we have that we either go get on our own or Geneva refers to us, we're able to maintain. And then every new one that we get scales. And so that's really what contributes to the fact that we're growing year over year. We're not sliding backwards ever at all.
That's, I mean, great answer. And it's part of why I love being here, because there's collaboration, but also I have a heavy operations background and I like the fact that they'll listen to ideas and things that have worked for others in the company, and we can try things and figure them out. I think it's so important. So I love that answer.
Well, and I think what I like about that as well, Rachel, is my ideas don't have to be the same as yours for me to be heard. Mm-hmm. And my ideas don't have to be the same as yours for my ideas to be supported. And I think that that's also something that's very different about Geneva. Is usually if I come to you and it's my business model might be very different than a lot of other branch managers. In fact, it is. It's not that I'm the only one that has it, but it's different. It's different maybe than a norm and in the industry, let alone at Geneva. And when I come to you and say, this is what I want to do, and here's my focus in my branch, even though it may not be what somebody else does in their branch, it's accepted, it's supported, and we're set to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've obviously built a successful branch. And I know others are looking to do that, right? They're looking to grow. A lot of times loan officers won't have the opportunity, and they obviously have to have some level of production history, right, to grow into a branch manager. But what would your advice be to someone looking to grow into a branch manager role, or a branch manager who wants to develop a team underneath them?
Okay, so those will start with somebody who might want to develop into a branch manager role, because that would be an individual. So when I started out, it was, I mean, I didn't have a branch. I was like I said, an individual that Aaron hired. Geneva hired me. And then I was set to what do I need to do in order to grow into where I want to grow? And I wanted to be a branch. And of course, I need to be number one. So um, my advice to you is what I did. I took a while. I took a while, even when I didn't have, the finances to sustain taking a while. And I built out a business plan. And I think that what we did is we were true to it. I built out a business plan where we had 3 arms, because if you have one arm, it can fail. And I think that where a lot of people go wrong in trying to grow as an individual loan officer their business is we always seem to stop short of success, and we always seem to be willing to chase the shiny, right? So if I go and I talk to a title company and say, the title company wants me to send them their business on my refi, so they're showing me all the shiny things they have to offer. And we follow the shiny. Oh, well, we can do this for you, and we can send this out to your database, and we can do this, and we have this thing, and it helps, realtors with their listing, all of these things. And they're probably all great. The problem is was that our path at the beginning? And if not, don't follow it. We picked 3 arms. We always, at the beginning of every single year, or actually fourth quarter of every year, we build out our business plan for the next year. Our business plan has changed year over year, depending on where the business the year before has taken us. But we always pick what we call is 3 arms, because if one of those paths fail, the other 2 should work. If 2 of those paths fail, if one of them works, we still have a good year. But what we don't do is we don't entertain number 4 and 5 and 6 and all of those shiny things that come along the way. We stick to our plan. We see it through to work. And then we grow. The other thing that I would say is, if you're a loan officer and you want to grow into a branch manager, Geneva's mindset for that, it is an abundance mindset. You can go to any branch manager at this company and say, look, I want to come on with you as a loan officer, but within a year, I want to be a branch manager. I want to compete with you, and I want to beat you. And they would welcome you.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that that's there. And so my recommendation would be, when you join Geneva, tell your branch manager what your goals are so they can support it. The nice thing about Geneva, and what worked for me, is I did not have to earn business twice. We don't fail as a company operationally. I don't have to worry about closing loans late. I don't have to have that conversation with that realtor that I spent a month to recruit to send me their business. And I don't have to re-earn that relationship and spend a week talking through why it didn't happen. So operationally, the support's there, the infrastructure is there, and it works. The one thing I promised myself, I believe I mentioned earlier, I started a real estate company. I didn't want to do that because I had 4 little kids at home at the time. And I remember telling myself, the one promise I made myself when I left my home that day for the very first time, and I drove to that office of that company that I was starting, is I said, I will never put myself in a position to have to earn business twice. I will not do it, because you cannot scale if you do that. If you've ever lost a realtor relationship over not closing a deal, you're in that cycle. And the only way that I know to get out of it is I've never had to do that at Geneva. It's very important to me. It's one of my, it really, if I say I have a core motto in doing this business in this industry, that's it. And that's why I'm at Geneva, and I will never leave, ever leave.
I love that. I also love the plan about having different plans of action, because I know our marketing department has so much to offer. It can be very difficult to choose 3 things only, right?
Yeah,
It's
but
very,
the nice thing about that is, because they have so many things to offer, I can pick the 3 that work for me and my personality. Right.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
we can have somebody like, Brenton McDonald, who has a completely different personality than me as a branch manager, who does extremely well. And he's going to find 3 different things that cater to his strengths. And I feel like I'm in a position that I'm 100% of the time always being able to play to my strengths, because of the multitude of things that the company offers for me to choose from.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I think, it's, when I first started here, I started as a branch manager, and that's what I wanted to do, was chase all the things, right? And it became overwhelming, but everything seemed so exciting that I wanted to do them all. So
I know.
it's really good advice. I love that. That's so great. So I think you've already spoken to this a bit, but the next question is about human culture at Geneva and how that's factored into your success and growth.
You know, I don't it personally, and Rachel, I know that you know me, so I don't have a need to be the favorite person in the room. I don't have a need to be liked. If people don't like me, I'm okay with that. I can move on and go. But where things matter to me is when people know me. And so when people know me, I want them to, before we have a problem, I want them to come to me and at least give me the benefit of the doubt before a conversation, or to get to that conversation. And I feel like for me at Geneva, even before Geneva knew me, I was always given that benefit of the doubt when I came with maybe unconventional aspirations. We might have a talk about that. And my first conversation with Aaron, I remember telling him, "Hey, I'll hit $1 million a month for you," you know, and he looked at me. I was coming in. I hadn't been in the industry in 7 years. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll hit $1 million a month for you." And this was back, when houses were a third of the price that they are now and everything else. And he goes, well, you'll hit 500,000. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I said, "I just told you I would hit $1 million." And he goes, "Well, a lot of times people do half of what they say," which is a fair conversation to have, right? But at the end of the day, what happened in that conversation is, without having to prove myself first, he believed in me.
Yeah.
And I think that as far as going to the culture and the people that make up that culture, it just shows really good and fair character in the people that we work with.
Yeah.
And that, we get lucky enough in life to find that here and there, right? We find that here and there in our personal lives. We find that here and there in our, church groups, or, whatever group we find. I've never been in a place where I've more readily been 100% surrounded by that. And it's very unique, and it's extremely rewarding to be able to participate in that. Like, I'm truly very fortunate and grateful. And I acknowledge that even to myself all of the time. So the culture is amazing. It's very accepting. It's very supportive. And I don't just mean on a business level, I mean on a personal level as well. And it's real. It's not, it's not to retain people. It's not to recruit people. It's real. It's how it's run from the top down. And where leaders go, people follow. And I feel like that's the answer to the culture at Geneva is, the leaders are in the right spot. You, Aaron, Telly, James, and we follow. And if the leadership is good, then we all follow in a good way. We don't want to be the odd man out. And I don't even, and nor would the company want to tolerate that,
Yeah.
So.
That's such a great answer. And I find it interesting doing these calls because every branch manager that we interview has a different response, but they're all genuine, and it's all, what's important to that person. And I love that because it just shows the different aspects of how the inclusivity and, how we all think differently, but we all, do the best to support one another. And that's a great answer. All right. So I know you'll like this question. Some of the biggest pushback we get talking to potential recruits is about the compensation, and that it can't be real, or it's bait and switched, because people have experienced that, especially recently, or in the last couple of years, especially, and that the expense P&L can't be real. What has your experience been with compensation and branch expenses? And you don't have to tell anyone how much you've made, but just as in general, what's your experience been?
So I'm making the same comp that I made within a quarter of a point. I made less at the place I was at for 6 years. The branch, what's different is my revenue. And so, you're talking about a gross versus an adjusted gross or a net, right? That is extremely different. And what I mean by that is before, even if the comp was similar, we were lucky enough to have 3 or 4 months a year where we would hit what we called critical mass, where everything is covered. And then we just, 97 cents on the dollar rolls to the bottom line. And, you live your branch off of those 4 months a year. I hit critical mass at 12 months out of the year with Geneva. And I can also do my P&L in my head. And
Yes.
so, right?
And you're very smart, but I think a lot of people could do the P&L in their head. Yes, that's a great way to put it.
Well, I mean, here I can do the P&L in my head, because I know if I have X number of units and I get, my comp, and I have, LOs that do X number of units versus the branch comp on them, I can quickly calculate that in my head, and I know my net. Everywhere else, my P&L at the month when it would come in was a surprise. I didn't know how much money I would get hit for it with the EU being run, or LP being run, or GUS being run. I didn't know how many times my LOs ran that month. So that's a variable that I don't know until I receive my P&L. There's no way I could have done my P&L in my head. I didn't have all the answers. At Geneva, we're not charged for those things, right? And it makes a big difference.
Yep.
And for all of the things that we're not charged, I don't have to do those calculations, which means I can easily do, I know to the bottom line, 3 weeks before I get my P&L from accounting, exactly what it's going to say. And I never knew that before. And there's all kinds of hidden fees that I didn't see before. There's all kinds of hidden costs. And it's hard also to reconcile that, right? I mean, how do you reconcile that? I don't really have the data to even say, I don't feel that this is an accurate charge to my P&L. Right? Because how am I supposed to go prove or disprove that somebody ran to you 100 times?
Right.
So on top of that, just from an accounting perspective, just from a perspective of being a good steward of my branch's money, it's very easy to do. And my bottom line, I mean, I made $1 million last year, $988,000 last year. And I can tell you that if I had the same model of things that were debits on my other P&L, it would have been significantly less, even with the same comp. I've never made close to what I made this last year.
Yeah.
And again, it's all because everything that's a gross is legitimately a net. So it's real. I mean, I'm happy. I'm like, I got to Geneva my first year, and I'm like, hey, let's just make 6 figures, in the first 12 months. And then, we did. And then, we doubled that the next year. And then we doubled that the next year. And I'm like, why am I thinking about 6 figures? Like, why is my mind so small? Like, I need to be thinking 7 figures. And so that was our goal for 2023, in the worst market we've had in a very long time. And we were 12,000 shy of hitting it exactly.
So 12,000. Well, I'm sure you'll hit it this year. You've done an amazing job, and you're definitely on the radar now. And Aaron's blown away by your success and things that you've done. And he doesn't always look, I feel like, at everything all the time on each person, but when we met recently, he went through that and he was like, what is she doing? What is she? I'm like, she just has the flexibility in following the model that she put together. So he's always really proud to see people succeed.
It's literally what I'm doing is the same thing that anybody can do within the boundaries of what is supported and allowed at Geneva. We use all of we don't do any marketing where we pay money. If we do any marketing, it comes from corporate. If we do any recruiting, it comes from corporate. So, I mean, the support's there. And we just need to pick our 3 pieces and follow them here.
Yours is not social media, because I think you still have a ghost picture on your your Facebook profile.
It is not social media.
You may have already answered this, but what's your favorite thing about Geneva?
I have to say that there's so many things, but at the core, if it wasn't for the right people, none of this would be happening for me and for my branch and for all of the people that, you know, we help into homes and everything else. But I do think it's the leadership that starts at the top. I think it's super important that the mindset is so broad that we don't have to think the same way. I can have a different idea. So all of that boils down to I'm working with the right people. And then on top of that, financially, my life has changed. And so I'm working in the right model, right? And so those two things, working with the right people that allow me to put in plan a place that caters to my strengths, even if my weaknesses are very much more significant than others. And I'm allowed to accommodate that in a way that's accepted. And again, I could be doing, let's say that I had all of the right people and all of the right support somewhere else, I surely wouldn't be making the money that I'm making. So.
All right. Fair enough. How about one piece of advice you would give to an originator or branch manager to grow their business?
Come to Geneva.
Yes, that's a great answer.
I don't know what else to say.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, last question. We all know process of moving is scary and rarely easy. When you decided to take the leap and join Geneva, how was your experience with the transition process?
Well, let me just back up and say, because I didn't have any business walking in,
Easy peasy.
It was super easy. However, I feel like I can comment on this because we've hired LOs that have, you know, now there's, you know, we need to meet qualifications and come in and everything else. And when we've had people come over, and even when they're transitioning with files in process, and, you know, there might be, you know, a bit of time that it takes for that process to happen. It's very good process. I can say that we do have loan officers comment on it, that they were very stressed about it. They were anxious about it. And I understand that because, like I said, don't ever want to earn business twice. Transition is the riskiest time, most risky. But our transition team has not failed any file. They have not closed late. Buyers have been happy. Realtors have been happy. And that's important to us. It's important to us too, as branch managers, that transition process is solid. So because that's the commitment that we're making to people that come over to us. And we want to make sure that the commitments that we make, that we're able to keep. And that process is allowing us to do that. I mean, I surely would have probably called you and you never heard from me. So we've never had an issue with it. And on top of it, it's not even like it's been cumbersome. It's just been really smooth. And it's what they do and it's what they know, and they're very good at it.
Yeah, it's what they know. They're our most tenured group of processors and LOAs. And they love what they do. That's the other great part. They love making people, it's a personality type too, that we had to fill those roles with, because they really needed to have that care and understanding and, you know, knowledge.
They need to have that understanding, especially that these loan officers are at their most anxious moments, right?
Yes.
And then I think, is it the same team for the employee loans? Because I've done 3 loans.
Same.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So I've purchased 3 homes since being at Geneva. So I've used the team personally on my own transactions as well, and they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We love them. They do a good job. So well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Honestly, Rachel, thank you. I thank you all the time, but I truly mean it. Like, this has been this whole experience for me, to the ability to continue to learn, continue to grow, and to make the kind of money I've been making. I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
So
well, we're grateful for you as well. You make my job easy, that's for sure.
You make mine. All right.
Well, this was quite an interview. One of my absolute favorites. And I will say that my favorite thing about Geneva is a lot of our top producing branches are run by really powerful, amazing women. And most of the leadership team at Geneva is run by women. And it's just in an industry that's, you know, can tend to be a little behind. It's really just inspiring to see as someone that was raised by a single mother and watched her struggle through trying to be a professional because that was her aspirations. And so it is one of my absolute favorite things. And I always love when we get to have someone like you, Linda, that has just really against the odds of what this industry has faced, instead of whining and like we saw a lot of throughout the entire industry of what the market was doing. You just showed up. You showed
Yeah.
up and you showed everybody what could be done. And you had the best year of your career in
Right.
a horrific market. So hats off to you. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today and share your experience with Geneva. For those of you that attended, thank you so much for being here. If you'd like to learn more about Geneva Financial, visit www.joingfi.com, and you can see more interviews and meet our CEO on his interview platform there, and see some of our marketing samples and a demonstration there. You can also email opportunity@genevafy.com, and we'll get you in touch with someone. So again, thank you both for an incredible session today.
Thanks,
Thank you.
James. Thanks, Linda.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks,
Have a
James.
great day.